I think I moved to London when I was 18, went out for a drink and didn't come home for 17 years. Hello, I am Lias Saoudi from the Fat White Family, and I'm here at DIFFUS to discuss the advent of our fourth album, Forgiveness Is Yours.
What have you been up to since the last Fat White Family album came out?
Well, I guess the main thing that I was up to was writing a book, co-writing a book, which is kind of like it's a great way of giving your soul a wash. You might not get the whole truth, but some of the truth is unavoidable, I think, when you said about it, you know? And I think that was the main thing I was doing, was basically just sitting around reading and writing. I kind of rediscovered my teenage self in that period in the pandemic. I think I moved to London when I was 18, went out for a drink and didn't come home for 17 years. You know, I think it was like that, you know, there were bits of my brain that had been asleep since high school that I didn't realize were still there because they were just submerged between booze and drugs and sex, you know? So I was mainly doing that and like acid house.
How did the pandemic feel for you?
I feel nostalgic for the pandemic. I miss it. You know, for me, that was exactly what the doctor ordered, you know? Like I was never fucked up enough to have to go to rehab or something, therapy or whatever, you know, but I was never at that crisis point where I had to kind of knock everything on the head. But I realized in the pandemic that I was a social fuck up, you know, that I was using drugs and stuff like that because I was just anxious around other people. But when all those other people were gone, I just stopped. You know, and I just didn't really need it anymore. I think we should have lockdown like once every 4 months. I loved it.
Where does the title Forgiveness Is Yours come from?
I don't know where that phrase came from, but I think it's alluding to a kind of like excess of sanctimony in the kind of cultural landscape in the last 5 years, you know? A kind of called spiritualism, you know, like wellness, you know? A little bit of a riff on wellness. But also I think of it now as a kind of like, you know, like I'm forgiving myself for sort of doing the band in the first place, you know.
How did it come that you met Yoko Ono?
I was up there in their house upstate doing lyrics for the Insecure Men session, but they hadn't arrived yet. I was just there with Sean. We were having a glass of wine and then Yoko comes in and she's got a bad back or something. So Sean starts giving her a massage, you know, on the bed, like, you know, this real tender moment. But I was doing a lot of K at the time, a lot of ketamine, you know. So I was just thinking, this is fucking bizarre, you know. And then she started talking to me afterwards and she was like, you know, you remind me of my husband, you know. Like he was a singer as well, like I didn't fucking already know, you know. You know, and then I just thought it'd be like, you know, what if you were possessed by the spirit of John, you know what I mean? But it was bastard John, not the peace and love John.
Your band member Saul left the band while recording the album. How was it to finish the record without him?
He was kind of extricated from the group in like 2017, you know, when it was like drugs and madness and it just got out of hand and he wasn't showing up to gigs and stuff and it was just got fucking crazy then. And, you know, so it had already been kind of established that me and Nathan were going to my brother were going to try and just work it out without him, you know. And then we started doing that and we really struggled, you know. And then Saul came back into the mix and it really worked, I think, for Surf's Up. So it kind of like, there was this kind of in, out kind of pattern that had established itself really early on, you know, first in the live gigs and then in the studio, you know, because it was just so dysfunctional.
You once said current music is too comforting for you. Do you still feel this way?
I mean, I assume I do, but I don't listen to anything. I've been sort of eager to get to the kind of like curmudgeon phase of my life, you know, like I'm happy in that, you know, because I think I'm a bit of a miserable bastard. You know, so I mean, musical experiences I have now are when I come here in the summer and get whacked out on my head on ketamine in the clubs here and stuff, you know, that's kind of, but I haven't got a fucking clue who's making any of that music either, you know, so I just don't know. You know, if you work at the sausage factory, eventually you don't want to have sausages for dinner for a while, you know what I mean? Like you just, you know, I feel like that a bit with music, like this album specifically was such a fucking pain in the ass, you know, that music itself is tainted, you know?
How was the video for the song Today You Become Man made?
It was tricky, actually. It was difficult. We only had like, we came up with the idea, and I think we had one weekend that would work schedule-wise to film it. We had almost no budget. There was only my big brother that could film it because we had no time to get visas for the filmmaker or anything. We got the flu while we were up there, and it rained the whole time except that one day. So we were walking around Mayo, that's the name of the town, in the rain, looking for like people to star in this film, looking for somebody with a really shitty Volvo, like a really shitty old mountain town that I could walk on, and then trying to get the video for Bittersweet Symphony up on my phone. The signal's really shit, trying to get to that bit in the video and be like, look, that, your car, that, and explain, like, I mean, it was fucking ridiculous, But it came off in the end, it came off in the end. The kids at the end was the bit where I kind of was like, oh, thank God, we've got it, They just showed up like magic, And that's when we got arrested and taken to the police station, And then I was like, I don't care if they put us in jail for a week, as long as they don't take the footage, Because otherwise it's all been for fucking nothing. Like,
what's your current relationship to drugs?
I only get fucked up at work. No, I'm not like clean, you know what I mean? Like, but I don't I just become like really conscious of the way things affect me, I still like to cut loose, you know what I mean? Like, I think if I'm like going out, I'll have some mushrooms or something like that if I can. Like the main thing, the devil, as far as I'm concerned, is the coke. I mean, the coke is really kind of an extension of the booze. It's like if you get beyond 3 pints, then suddenly you're thinking, it's cocaine or home time, because I'm just gonna get all drunk and tired, So that's the one, like, I think I had the biggest problem with.
What's up next for you?
Well, there's a couple of things. I want to finish writing another book about like the last 5 years. It's just a bunch of essays I've been collecting. And I want to make some kind of a project in Algeria, Like I want to tour there, but I also think I want to go there and make some kind of a record there and collaborate with a bunch of people and just try and curate some sort of a like jihadi Graceland type thing,